EPAWA meteorologist Bobby Marchich here with your outlook for January 3rd, 2024. It is Friday. The Friday video forecast is proudly sponsored by McCall Collective Brewing. McCall is a family-owned and operated brewery with 2 locations in the Lehigh Valley. Their original Southside Allentown location is at 102 East Susquehanna Street, and their second location, McCall Collective Tap House in Trexlertown, is located at 7743 Hamilton Boulevard. Both locations are open 7 days a week and have a full food menu, plenty of beer to choose from for both dine-in or takeout, along with local wine and cocktails. Their flagship IPA, Lehigh, is back, which is a 7% New England-style IPA with Citra, Mosaic, and El Dorado hops, so check that out for takeout at both locations or on draft at the Susquehanna location and coming soon to Tap House. For more details about that and all of their upcoming events, visit their Facebook page or to place online orders, visit their website, mccallcollectivebrewing.com. They are proud sponsors of the Friday video forecast. Okay, so today we have a little weak system here. We didn't really talk too much about this in yesterday's video because I was going to a deep dive in physics. We're not going to do much of a deep dive today. If you want to watch that video from yesterday, a lot of people did. We had, I don't know, like 40,000 people or something like that combined between the different sources that we use that we posted on that saw that. So there was a lot of interest in that. So I'm not going to repeat a lot of that today. And I didn't really focus on this wave here because yesterday it looked like it was just going to scrape across the southern Delmarva here, maybe get Delaware a little bit, but where temperatures were marginal, so we're like, it didn't really look as that big of a deal. But now it came a little bit further north and it's a little bit stronger. Not much, but a little bit. It's still an open wave as it moves through our region today, but it will become a closed low a little bit closer to the coast, and that's going to allow for a little bit of enhancement, just a little bit. So we have a snow map we had to put out. We did that on the Facebook page yesterday and our Twitter accounts, our social media accounts. We didn't put it on the weather alerts page. We sent alerts for it in the My Pocket Meteorologist program, but actually had to send 2 rounds of alerts because we had to update it. But here is that little weak wave, and by the time it gets to just off the Jersey coast here, and Delaware coast, it gets into a closed low situation. Very innocent looking low still, but there could be some minor accumulations of that. So we'll get over to the NAM high-res future simulated radar, and we're starting us off at noon today. And you see this is going to come out of this mess right here as this little weak wave moves through. There's going to be some snow showers that move in early afternoon here in south central Pennsylvania and make its way eastward toward the Philadelphia region. By just before evening rush. This is 4 o'clock, and it's already getting in the Philadelphia region here at this point, and this will continue into very early evening across South Jersey and parts of Delaware. All in all, we expect, this is our snow map that we have here, there's going to be a swath of 1 to 2 in this darker blue here. Well, not dark blue, but darker than what's surrounding here, this area D. That is a 1 to 2 inch range. Wouldn't be surprised if somebody goes slightly over that in isolated cases, but it's generally going to be between that in that general vicinity here. It's a little southern track here. The rest of the area here, we're really not too much. Just on the outside of that, you get a coating to 1 inch on the outer bands of that. But further south and further northeast, nothing. This actually, area A, was stuff that actually was falling during the day yesterday and maybe a little bit overnight, some lake effect stuff. This is unrelated to Friday's event. It was confusing a lot of people. Some people were saying that I thought you meant Monday. No, it has nothing to do with Monday. Monday is a totally different thing. We're going to talk about that too, but this has nothing to do with this map whatsoever. This was just stuff that was happening yesterday and into the evening, overnight. A few flurries and light snow showers occurred up in this area. That's unrelated. This wave itself is just going to be going right across like this. Ooh, that's way too big. This does this to me every once in a while where it changes sizes on me. But yeah, it's going to kind of go right down the middle of across here, and then on either side of this is the swath. So kind of right down the middle there, that's what's going to be affecting today. So as far as the map's concerned, that's really what it is for today. That's it. So it's not a lot of snow, but it's just enough that it could cause some issues. I think it's mostly non-paved just because of what temperatures are going to be today. You see 35 to 40 is the spread. This is the warmest day you're going to see for a while. And it's not exactly like it's that warm, right? But it's not going to be windy today either, like it was yesterday. But temperatures will be falling behind this pretty quickly, and we clear out overnight, and then that is going to leave colder temperatures in the wake of this. You just see above me for Saturday, 28 to 33 is the temperature spread with, yes, windy conditions coming back in the region. This is actually going to start late Friday evening. It's going to start picking up, and then overnight, we see get past midnight especially, you get some wind gusts here in the 15 to 25 range, maybe some peak gusts to 30, maybe a little higher than that in elevations. But then when we get into Saturday during the day, we're a lot of peak gusts, common gusts across the region between 30 and 35 miles per hour. So not quite as windy as this last event, but it's going to be close. Close, okay? So it will be a breezy day. This is cold air advection related because we have colder air coming in behind this system. So that's what this system is doing, is bringing in colder air behind it, and that follows the system, and that's going to why it's going to be breezy here on Saturday, or windy, whatever you want to call it. Some people make a distinction with that. I don't care if you do or not. It's going to be windy. All right. Once we get beyond this system, on Sunday, we have partly cloudy day in between. Now, this is the European model that I'm showing you first, okay? This is the one that ran this evening, and it has this snow here in the Tennessee, it enters into the Tennessee Valley, and we were talking about this in the physics part of what can make it go north and south, and I kept trying to make a case that this is probably going to head further north just because there's a lot of, I said there was not really a scientific reason for it yesterday, and that it was really more of a gut feel. But it's there is some processes involved in this. How amplified this low gets, if there's some latent heat release processes in this that can make it come a little bit further north. There's a lot of different reasons, and I've seen the song and dance before, and I've said that in last night's video that I did. So these tend to come further north. Now today's European model, a little bit, it's not really that far north yet. It's getting up to about I-78. With the plowable snowfall. If you look at these colors here, and I'm not going to show you a snow map necessarily, but anything that starts with this color of blue and south is a plowable snowfall. So it's having that, it's showing that here on the European model run from this evening. This is the 18Z run, the most recent one I had when I did the video here. So this would still be good for places like Baltimore and, you know, southern PA especially. But this is considerably further south than the latest GFS that I'm going to show you in a little bit. But this is still a plottable snowfall for those areas. I-78 corridor, which means a little bit north of I-78, all the way down through the Mason-Dixon line, and even south of that all the way down to like Baltimore and Washington. There might be some mixing down there in D.C. and those areas too. But the reason why we don't know what this is going to do yet is because this system itself that's responsible for this storm that we're going to have potentially here late Sunday night and Monday is still not even on shore yet. It's out coming on shore in the Pacific Northwest right about now. It's pretty close to it. So that means the runs that we have, the model runs we have on Friday, are going to be a little bit more critical to the forecast, and that's why we're not putting a snow map out until Saturday, all right? Because there's still some flux with this, okay? This is going to still move around a little bit. You're going to see a lot of windshield wiper effect, which means going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It can't really trend in one direction. That's kind of what we're doing. We see trends in for the GFS here lately, and like the one this evening, is much further north. It's a more amplified system, and it brings a swath of snow, the heaviest, that is along I-78 all the way down through about I-76, and you got mixing issues south of the Mason-Dixon line because of that. So you get the heaviest swath in this case right in here, but it's a plowable snow for most of our region in this case. So we would have to certainly keep an eye on this and see what trends are with the GFS, because this is the same GFS that yesterday, when I was doing the video, had all this over the Baltimore-Washington area, and it moved up significantly north today, and the trend has been bump, 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 and that's it. So we'll see where this goes, but the reason the GFS is doing this, in large part, is because this the Friday system that's coming through, the one that's coming through today, that's going to give you a few snow showers in that area I showed on the snow map. That's going to go offshore, and it's going to bomb out as it heads up in this direction toward Newfoundland. But this is a lot further east than it was shown yesterday. Yesterday, it bombed out and came up to here like this, kind of the center part of Newfoundland, which is right here. Okay, so now it's on the eastern part. What that does with relation to the confluence that I talked about yesterday is it moves it up further north. The confluence zone, instead of being, it's not as influential either, is more across this area here. So you have your drier air sitting right up here in New York, southern New York, and all the way over to Connecticut, but not in our area, and that allows this storm to have more room to amplify and bring snow up further north, okay? So these are just subtle changes, but these are all trends that we're watching, and the European model is doing pretty much the same thing with the eastern track here in Newfoundland and further east, which is going to give it more room, but the confluence zone is still holding on a little bit longer. This is that system we came through on New Year's Eve with the thunderstorms, right? Here's the one that is that's going to be coming through today that will eventually get up to Newfoundland, right? And this has the confluence zone a little bit further south, and that's why it doesn't come up as far north. So that confluence zone is going to be very critical to the forecast. We're still not there yet. Again, we're not going to be doing a snow map until Saturday, and for good reason, because these models are still going back and forth. Windshield wiper effect, right? We're doing this. Okay, so we don't know specifically yet. We'll have a better idea here in the next 24 to 36 hours, where we'll be confident enough to put out a forecast to see if it's something like this, or if it's even further north than this. I doubt it, but I do like, if you want my gut feel, I will say that I like a between I-78 and I-76 jackpot area, so to speak, which is the heaviest swath of snow. I-76 is the Pennsylvania Turnpike that runs west to east, right? I-78 runs west to east. So in between there, somewhere between there, I think, is your jackpot. And when we're talking about jackpot here, we could be talking about 4 to 8, 6 to 10. Certainly possible. I've seen some models this evening actually put out a foot of snow in some areas. It might be pushing it. But we'll see. We're not really worried about the focusing on the numbers just yet. I just need to find out where this axis is be so we can actually draw a map, which won't be until Saturday, and then we can fine-tune that here on Sunday. But in the wake of this system, once it moves out, we're going to have some very cold temperatures, which is a lobe of the polar vortex is actually to come down and pay us a visit here next week. And if we have fresh snow cover on the ground, which it looks like we're going to have, these temperature forecasts you're seeing on your apps are going to be wrong. They're going to be too high. Right now, we decided to go lower. We're expecting snow cover over a region, which is going to actually keep temperatures a little bit lower, especially overnight, where you have radiational cooling processes take place a little bit faster because of that. So we have temperatures in the mid-20s next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Dry, but colder than the GFS MOS guidance is suggesting, which is closer to 30, 32. I don't think it's going to be that warm because you're going to have the snow cover in place, and that it will help for allowing you to cool off a little bit more than is projected. And they'll adjust to it eventually, but right now, it's still a little bit too high, we think. So we lowered temperatures a little bit for next week. So it's going to be cold. It's going to be cold next week. I get people argue with me on social media saying it's not that cold. Well, I don't know what you're expecting. It's not going to say it was going to be highs into single digits and lows 10 below zero. We weren't talking about that. It's cold. Normal highs for this time of year are generally upper 30s to near 40. So, if you're sitting in the mid-20s, that's cold. That's 15 degrees below average, all right? So don't argue with me. I really don't care what your opinion is of what bitter to cold is, but it's cold. It's going to be very cold, all right? And it's going to be breezy again next week, too. So staying outside in shorts and a T-shirt if you don't think it's that cold, and tell me how you feel in a couple hours. So anyway, so we're going to continue to follow this here over the next day or so. The next video I do will be a lot more descriptive, and that's going to be for the weekend video. And then during the day on Saturday, we'll put together the first map for us, send out the alerts, all that stuff. Sunday, we'll do a follow-up as needed with any changes, which I expect there probably will be for this one, since we're talking about an overrunning event here. And how amplified does this storm get? I think that's one of the other keys we didn't talk about yesterday, but a lot of that has to do with heights in the Midwest, the position of that low, where it goes, and where the confluence zone is. Those are really the three things that will set the stage for this system, and it's just too fine of a detail. Just one small thing being off changes the whole ballgame. I really don't think people understand how truly difficult. Everybody expects big storms every winter. It is very difficult to get everything to line up perfectly. It really is, okay? And this is one of those cases, and a very touchy thing. So one little thing slightly off, it changes the whole thing downstream, and we'll continue to follow those changes and trends over the next day or so. I'm EPAWA meteorologist Bobby Martich. That is your outlook for January 3rd, 2024. Have a great Friday.